Hello and welcome back again. We've got episode 2, Tales from the Beanbag. I'm Davis. Got another topic for you. I don't know, the couple I picked for this week were pretty fun, but I got one that's maybe a little more boring. I guess it's just one that I really was interested in. Because, I don't know, I like black and white movies. I think they're fun. I don't know, I think they're interesting. There's not many black and white movies out there. At least, nowadays, you can go back and watch whatever movie from the 30s, 40s, 50s, but I don't know exactly when, color film was introduced. I'm assuming around the 50s, in the 60s it came, commonplace. Now in Technicolor was, the big saying back then, but pretty, obviously 99% of movies nowadays are in color. It's something that kind of was lost in time, but now every now and then you'll see a movie in black and white. And in horror, I think it fits a lot of the time. There's a couple reasons why, I guess. I don't know. Ever since, I guess, maybe Psycho would be able to be included in this list, but that came out in, I think, 1960, so I wouldn't. So I'm kind of taking, everything 1970 past to talk about. So this is just modern horror movies, but there's, I want to say, 2 reasons why anyone would make a movie in black and white nowadays. And I guess the first one would be budgetary constraints, but that's like Clerks. Kevin Smith's Clerks, the comedy, was filmed in black and white because he didn't have any money. All he had was black and white camera, so he's like, this is what I got. And, it doesn't really add anything or subtract it from the movie. Obviously, the rest of his movies are in color. It's not really, I don't know, it doesn't subtract anything from the movie. But it is in black and white. The other choice is for a stylistic, purely stylistic or intentional purpose to either convey, time period is common. So you'll see a lot of movies set in the past that are black and white, intentionally. Or a lot of movies you'll see have, symbolic use of color in black and white movies. And the two that apply into the, symbolic color would be, Schindler's List, which I would say is probably the most popular, black and white movie ever released, post that being commonplace. You'll see there's a couple scenes in color, and then, the girl's red jacket is in red, obviously, but it's done with purpose, it's intentional, it's to highlight that certain part of the movie, and it works. Usually, I want to say, this movie, obviously it does. Another movie is Pleasantville, which I haven't seen in a while, but I know it goes from black and white, depending on the time period. I can't remember exactly, but decent movie. Goes back and forth. American History X, that's another one that's done partially in black and white. Obviously, if you've seen it, great movie. The flashbacks of when Edward Norton's character was a Nazi are in black and white, and in color, the present, which is it was really cool. It really worked well. I loved how they did that, and it's kind of something you wouldn't really see in another movie, but it really worked in that movie. The other one, in this one, Sin City, I guess you could count the sequel to A Dame to Kill For, but obviously if you've read the graphic novel, one of my favorites of all time, it's in black and white, so it only made sense. But it's another movie that featured symbolic color, because I honestly can't remember if the graphic novels had those color pieces. I'm pretty sure they did. I know parts of them did, but maybe they changed a little bit more in the movie. But obviously the yellow bastard character is yellow. There's some red in the movie, but then like I said, there's a couple movies that convey time period that are in black and white, like Mank, David Fincher's most recent movie, was in black and white. And I think Citizen Kane, it's about Citizen Kane, so I think that happened in the 40s, so, I mean, it fit the movie well. The other one is Control. If you haven't seen that, it's a biopic about Ian Curtis of Joy Division, filmed all in black and white. It's a great movie. I mean, I'm not sure exactly why they chose to do that, but it does fit, and it is a great movie. So, those are three reasons why people would do it in color. I mean, I guess the most famous one for, budgetary constraints is obviously Night of the Living Dead in '68, when most people would have had a color camera, but George Romero just didn't care. So that's another one that could have fallen into the first category. But now, I guess, it seems like in the past few years, a lot of action movies and other movies filmed in color are being re-released or recut for sometimes in theaters, sometimes as part of like the home video in black and white. And it doesn't always seem to fit. Like Zack Snyder's Justice League, the recut was also released in black and white. I watched the version in color because I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna watch that movie for 4 hours again for probably a long time. It's great, but way better than the original release. But I'm not sure why that was done. I mean, it does look cool, but I don't know. The one I did see was Mad Max Fury Road. I actually have I think it's black and chrome version. It looks really cool in black and chrome. But I don't think it does anything different to the movie. Yeah, it's kind of just there. The other one that I know of is Logan was also done in black and white. I think I have that too. But I mean, it kind of makes more sense for that movie. I should definitely go and rewatch that. But there's been a ton that have been slowly done in black and white. I know Antichrist, Lars von Trier's movie, was done in black and white. I think I saw the color version. Can't really remember. But a lot of movies get recut like that. Like getting into horror. The most recent one that was recut this way was Nightmare Alley. Guillermo del Toro's remake was re-released in black and white, I think in theaters. Kind of thought about going to see it because I hadn't seen it at the time, but I missed it. And it does make sense because, like Mank, it is set in the 40s, and I want to see the original as black and white. I haven't seen that, but it does fit. I don't know, I think one of the best parts for me about that movie was the set pieces and how the color popped. It was just a beautiful spectacle. I mean, I didn't think it wasn't his best movie that I've seen. But yeah, the color just popped so well. I would definitely like to see what it looks like in black and white. I have it pre-ordered. I hope it looks cool, but we'll see. Another movie that was recut was The Mist. I keep buying it on Blu-ray with the black and white because I think that's the perfect movie. Because I know Frank Darabont wanted to release it in black and white, but obviously people don't like a lot of these movies didn't make that much money at the time of release when they were released in black and white, aside from Schindler's List, which was a huge success. But I can see why he didn't. I still need to get a hold of a copy of that. But so kind of moving on into movies that were originally re-released or released in black and white. I mentioned Night of the Living Dead already, so I won't again, but that was kind of budgetary constraint, but that was kind of the first example I want to say of that, and that came out in '68, which is pretty near the end of the popularization of that type of filming style. The next one that would have came out, one of my favorites is Eraserhead from David Lynch. Like, I can't picture this movie in color, because, I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie, but the black and white is perfect for this movie. It's great. Just everything about this movie, it just adds to the mood. It's such an unsettling kind of, it's so weird, it's so depressing. It's perfect. Like, it fits this movie so well. I literally can't picture this movie in color. Yeah, it's great. This next one, also from David Lynch, but is The Elephant Man. This is another movie that was done to kind of portray the times, not like Eraserhead, where it was to kind of add to the mood. I mean, it does add to the mood, but it makes it feel like you're watching an older movie when you watch The Elephant Man. And I've said this before, this is my favorite movie of all time. I think if you ask me, I think it's the best movie ever made. Sure, it's not accurate to the actual story of The Elephant Man, and I guess, like, this is a sad movie, but the story of The Elephant Man is sad in a different way, because I guess the doctor was much more abusive to The Elephant Man, which is sad, but this movie is just amazing, and I have nothing negative to say about it. It's a masterpiece from start to finish. It's the most depressing movie I've ever seen. I mean, the ending it just guts me. I watched it a second time a few years ago, and I couldn't even finish it because I don't want to see the ending again. It's heart-wrenching. This is one of the movies that really utilizes black and white really well. Next one, that, much like The Elephant Man and quite a few other movies I mentioned, that really fits the time period, is Ed Wood from Tim Burton. It's, the story of Ed Wood, the director of Plan 9 from Outer Space. Famous hack director, but I think it's Tim Burton's best movie. He feels a little hit or miss for me. I think Disney kind of ruined his creativity. I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is the funniest movie ever, one of the funniest movies ever made. His Batman movies are great. A lot of his movies are good. Some of his movies are really awful, but this is like his best one. And Tim Burton actually has another one on this list in black and white, but like his short films were not in color, and like this one just perfectly fits the time period, being, I believe, in the 50s. It's just great. It's got one of the best casts in film ever. I think it's Johnny Depp's best role. He's perfect. The relationship between him and Bela Lugosi it's really meaningful. If you are a Bela Lugosi fan, it's just great, and it mirrors Tim Burton's relationship with Vincent Price really well, because when they worked on Edward Scissorhands, that's one of Vincent Price's last movies, and unfortunately he passed away shortly after release. So it's really heartfelt when you know that, and to see how he's like, this story connects with me, I'm gonna put me and my friend together and make a story about it. It's just a great movie. It's one of my favorites. It's awesome. Another one, I'll just talk about it now. It's also from Tim Burton. I mentioned, some of his first short films were in black and white, but Frankenweenie, the 2011, it's the full-length version is what I'm going to talk about. I believe I've seen, can't remember if it was actually short, if it was a little longer, but he did the previous version in the 80s that wasn't in stop motion. This is the one that is, and I haven't seen it in a while, but because, I had a story kind of like this where my dog passed, and it was unfortunate, but this, it's a story, it's the only kids movie on this list, one of the few kids movies that are in black and white, and this movie is really depressing for a kids movie. It's a great story. I love this movie. It's super sweet, super endearing. It's play on classic Frankenstein story and almost kind of like Pet Sematary combined. But yeah, it's a sweet movie. Show it to your kids. Your kids will love it. You'll love it too. Let's see. Next one on the list is one of the lesser known movies I have here. It's called A Field in England from one of my favorite directors, Ben Wheatley. It's probably the most unusual movie on this list. It's about a bunch of soldiers just walking through a field, and they go on like an acid trip kind of thing, and I don't remember it super well, but it's really, really weird, really artistic. It's a cool movie, but yeah, I don't know, it's one of the ones where I'm not sure why it was filmed this way, but it definitely kind of gives you a weird vibe to it. I like it a lot though, but yeah, the next movie on the list is called it's definitely even less known than a field in England. It's called The Eyes of My Mother. Came out 2016 from Nicholas Pesh, who did the Grudge reboot, whatever reboot we're on now. But it's the most violent movie on this list. Like, a lot of these are like Academy darlings. This one is like straight, it's almost kind of a video nasty. It came out a few years ago, but man, this movie's really good. It's about like this girl who keeps like a guy chained in her fucking shed and tortures him. It's a tough watch, but it's one of the best movies on the list. And it's really, I don't even know how to explain it. I it's probably the least likely I'd recommend, but if you like extreme horror and kind of like with a little bit of art house shit in it, definitely check it out. It's the hardest movie to watch on the list, but it's good too. Last movie to talk about, and it's the most recent movie on the list, and got really, really popular. I was kind of surprised because when I wanted to see it, hadn't taken off. But it's The Lighthouse with William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. Came out 2019, I believe. But damn, yeah, this movie just kind of took off, became a meme everywhere. But it's Robert Eggers' second movie. The director of The Witch. But this movie's awesome. Two guys get stuck up in a lighthouse together, just start to lose their shit on each other. It was one of the best movies of the year. It's all one of those movies from A24 where it's just full of really weird, preposterous bullshit. Like, yeah, there's like, I don't know, Robert Pattinson jerks off a lot. There's a lot of really quotable weird lines. It's almost comical in a way. It's so over the top. But the actors are great. Like, William Dafoe has that amazing monologue in it. It's one of his best roles. I think it's one of the best recent modern horror movies, even though, people are latching on to it just a little bit too much. I don't think it's quite the masterpiece, but it's great. I loved it when it came out. I still like it, but yeah, it's really another one of those movies where it's set back then, and yeah, the whole black and white gives it the feeling of like you're watching like, even though it's not silent, like you're watching a silent film from the 20s and 30s, like the whole, like, just the shots of the island, the lighthouse, etc., give you like a serious Nosferatu vibe when you watch it. But yeah, the Lighthouse, check it out. It's one of the most recent movies here. Like, yeah, well, I mean, in general, you might get one black and white movie a year, and very rarely you'll get a horror movie in black and white. So it's not common. There's not many. I mean, there might be more, but these are really the big hitters, the ones that I think of when I think of black and white and horror. But yeah, I mean, all these movies are good. There's not a bad movie on the list. Hope we get more. I'd really like to see what happens in the future. I hope this I hope we keep getting movies like this. I don't know. I like movies like this. Maybe you do too, but thanks again. We'll see you next time.